One of the recommendations that I've done in ways of trying to heal the gut is that I've recommended that you should do fasting. You should do both prolonged fasts and you should also do the intermittent fasts. But then people are complaining how difficult doing fasting is, and I agree, it's quite a new thing, especially if you've never tried it before. Now, for those people who are consuming 3 meals per day or even more, or 3 meals with some snacking in between, remember, your body does not understand snacking. It knows that you are consuming, and anytime you take food, insulin has to be produced to handle the rising levels of glucose in your blood. So you could be taking 3 meals per day, but if you explain to me, I'll tell you those are already 5 meals, because in between maybe you are doing some snacks, some pudding, some nuts between meals. So if you're taking 3 or more meals per day, it is difficult for you to push a prolonged fast of over 48 hours. Why? Because that is something so strange to you. And the easiest way is you introduce fasting in a stepwise manner. How? You start with intermittent fasting. This means that you have 2 meals per day only, and there's no snacking. And you start by taking your first meal of the day between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. That will be the first meal of the day. And then the last meal of the day to be between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. In between there, you ought to have taken your meals. So in between, you rehydrate with water. You take sugarless black tea or black coffee, or even green tea, or even water with some apple cider vinegar to help in killing the hunger pangs. Now, when you do that, your body will be accustomed to 2 meals per day. And then in these 2 meals, you don't take simple carbohydrates, you don't take rice, you don't take chapati, you don't take ugali. You focus on animal protein, the meats, and the eggs. You take them in plenty. You combine with vegetables, both the cruciferous vegetables and even the green leafy vegetables. All right? You cook in ghee, you cook in tallow, sweat and coconut oil and lard. All of these are saturated fats that will help you even in absorbing the fat soluble vitamins. And then if you must take a carbohydrate, ensure you take a complex carbohydrate, and it should be a third or less, or even a fifth of your plate. So the rest are proteins and vegetables cooked in saturated fats, and then a small portion of a complex carbohydrate. That will be your first meal and in your last meal. Your body will get accustomed to just 2 meals per day. And these foods will not send you into cravings, because the amount of carbohydrate in that food is very minimal. Because how does hunger and cravings come about? Anytime you take a glucose, it spikes the glucose levels in blood. You take a carbohydrate, spikes the glucose levels in blood, and then insulin has to be released to come and try and handle the rising levels of glucose. And then where does this insulin send the glucose to? It sends to the fat storages. So when it sends to the fat storages, the glucose level goes low. And then when it goes low, it sends into craving again for you to eat again. And that's the mode of action. That's how the simple carbohydrates get you addicted to them. The rice, the chapati, the githeri, the ugali, because they are rapidly broken down to give glucose, and then glucose raises the blood sugar level, and then insulin comes in, tries to handle it, and then sends you back to craving so that you can eat again, and the cycle continues. So, and insulin is a fat storing hormone. So what happens is the insulin will keep on storing any glucose that comes in, stores. But the moment you are not taking simple carbohydrates, the rate at which the insulin is released is minimal. Therefore, your body will not have very high levels of insulin. And this duration, when you'll not be eating, maybe from 9 p.m. all the way up to the following day around 11 p.m. when you'll be taking your first meal, you'll be on some kind of fasting. And then during this time, your body will release glucagon hormone, turn to the glycogen stores, and then starts breaking them down to give you energy and supply the body with glucose. And that's why in the morning you will not feel hungry. All right? And then with this intermittent fasting for like a week or 2, you'll be able to push a 1 meal per day. Say you'll be eating around 4 p.m. all the way up to 8 p.m. In between there, that's when you'll be having your dinner or your 1 meal per day. With that, during the day, you'll have a lot of energy, because a lot of fat is being broken down from your storages to supply your body with ready glucose, a source of energy. So from 2 meals to 1 meal, you'll be able to push a 48-hour fast, a 72-hour fast without food. And that can be achieved in like a month or even 2 months, without food. But you'll not move from licking ice cream and taking pizza and being a food addict or a carbohydrate addict who takes chocolate every day, who is on these very sweet cakes, You cannot move from there, an addict of carbohydrates, and then you come and tell us you'll be able to push a prolonged fast. It will not be possible. Your body will still send you into craving so that you can feed it with the same sugar you're used to feeding it. So if you want to start fasting, if you want to enjoy the benefits of fasting, start with intermittent fasting. Reduce the frequency of meals from 5 meals to 3 meals if you are eating with snacking in between, and then from 3 meals to 2 meals, and then to 1 meal, and then from there you can do for whole 48 hours without food. And I know you'll enjoy the benefits, including the fixing of your gut, especially those people with ulcers. You need fasting for survival. You need